All right, recently got the floor done in here, and there's one last project that I'd like to do, and that is to put a pressure washer inside the garage and have year-round use of a pressure washer. So right now I keep a pressure washer outside. I actually keep it under those steps. You can see the wand there. The water's outside, the pressure washer's outside. When I want to use it, I just open the garage door, I come over and I plug it in up here. And I've got a 50-foot hose so I can just walk around the driveway outside. It's cold, so I've got the door shut. All right, so that's what I've had for years and years, and it's really convenient. When you have a power washer that's all hooked up, ready to use, you actually use it quite a lot. In the winter, it becomes more of a pain because I've got to make sure there's no water in the hoses. I basically just disconnect everything and let it drain. I don't try to get all the water out, but that's worked fine for almost 15 years. But now I really want to get it in the house, and that way I don't have to disconnect things in the winter, and I could use it even when it's cold out, even below freezing. I could use it. If I'm going to I could rinse off the car, bring it in the garage, and kind of keep the cars clean. And, you know, in the past, I'd have to wait for a couple days of 40s or higher for everything to thaw. So I was kind of at the mercy of the weather. So anyhow, my thought is I want to mount everything right here. And you can buy these pre-fabbed systems that give you everything, including the power washer, the reel, the hoses, the connectors. You can buy those. They're turnkey. You just mount them on the wall. You still have to supply water and power, but it's ready to go. Those things are pretty expensive. So I started poking around on the web, and there are a lot of DIY people that do their own version of that, and you can save a lot of money if you're willing to buy things separate and construct your own reels and things like that. That's what people do. Speaking of that, that's a prefabbed reel for air. So that's air compressor hose. Those things are very common. You can buy all different types of those. They're relatively cheap. But if you want a water pressure, like for pressure washing, that type of a reel, well, there's not a lot of options out there. And the ones that are out there are pretty expensive. So what happens is people buy that version and they convert them over. But water pressure is higher PSI than what these are rated to. So what happens is they work fine for a few months and then the seals blow out, and then you either replace the seal or you get a different reel and try the whole thing all over again. So anyway, I wanted to make sure I got a dedicated pressure washer reel. And like I said, there weren't a lot of options. They're pretty expensive, but this one newer one came on Amazon. It doesn't have a lot of reviews, but the brand is established and it looks to me like a pretty good value. It comes with a 65-foot hose. I would have probably preferred buying my own hose, and that way I would probably have bought a higher grade hose, like something really flexy. Like that's the Flexzilla hose. That's really nice stuff. But anyway, I'm going to give this a try. I can always switch it over. So I've got the reel coming from Amazon. We'll look at that when it arrives. I use a Ryobi 1600 PSI washer, one of those small shelf, you know, or you put it on the ground. There's no wheels or cart or anything like that. So that'll get mounted somewhere on the wall. And then I just need to supply water and power. So for power, like I said, I could tap into power here and then make a conduit to run over here and then come down, have like a surface mount single gang box, and Like, I thought about that. It's kind of a pain. For water, I'm very fortunate that I have water in this garage. So I've never used it, but I have hot and cold water right here. And then I was thinking, okay, get PEX and do some like hard tubing run and get it over there. So then, you know, between the two, it just was enough for me to go, I don't know if I want to deal with this. I'll just keep the setup outside. But I came across a few videos after kind of being interested in doing this again, looking at it again. And somebody had a very similar setup in their garage, and they just simply took a lawn hose, like a good quality lawn hose, ran it from there over to their setup, and they also ran the power cord from the power washer along the same run. So my thought is I'll do the same thing. Like, I'll just have a hose, might have like fasteners so it's fastened against the wall, and then come up behind the bench and then over here. And when I want to use a power washer, it's just a matter of like turning on the water, plugging in the cord. So anyway, that's the plan. I want to do it right here. I'm gonna use a piece of plywood that will get mounted to the studs. I've already looked, there's like a stud here, stud here. So a piece of plywood gets mounted, and then everything can just get fastened to the plywood. So that's the plan. I'm gonna bring the camera along and we'll look at how this is done. All right, so we're gonna mount the plywood up on the wall. This is a piece of plywood I've already used before. I kind of repurposed it for this application, kind of painted it again. I've got some holes that were already drilled, so I'm going to end up putting this on my stud. Then I'm going to find the next stud, and that'll be that. Okay. And I've got my laser level here, which is such a great tool. You know, also a lot of these things are not necessary for something. You're going to slap plywood up on the walls. It's not rocket science. But when you have the right tools, it just makes things so much easier and better. So here's a stud finder. By the way, this thing is really impressive. I haven't had it long, but I've had other ones like Zircons and things like that. This had a lot of really good reviews, even though it was cheap. And I think I bought it at Walmart. It had really good reviews, and then I got it and started using it, and I'm like, geez, I don't know what's in here, but it's very impressive for the money. Okay, so I'm gonna look for my stud. Okay, and there it is. All right, so what I did was I shot my line right here with the laser. I just put little marks there to begin with, but that's where the stud is. So I just need to line up my plywood where the holes are going to be on this line. So we'll do that in a minute. All right, it's in position. I've got it up on jack stands. It's actually level, but I'm looking at this line against the trim of the window, and it's not quite parallel. So what I'll do is I'll just throw a fastener over here, get that kind of started. Then I'll swivel this that way just to get those lines straight. All right, plywood's up on the wall, so we're just waiting for parts now. As the parts come in, we'll start to build the system. All right, so while I'm waiting for parts to arrive, I figure I'll do what I can with what I have. So I do have the power washer. I positioned it where it should be once my shelves arrive. So I'll have the shelf down here, another one in the middle. I can put like cleaning supplies, foam can, and stuff like that. And then up here will be the reel with the hose. So I did run my hose, because I do have that. I've loosely tie wrapped everything. I want that hose to go around here. The extra hose is going to be on that hook. Then we've got the hose goes along the back, and I've got it connected to my spigot. And this will be my electric connection. I'm going to probably either do another power strip or put some multi-outlet on there. And I think I'll just leave it plugged in and just use the power switch here right at the unit. All right, so Amazon just delivered the shelves. So now I can keep moving on this project and I can get the table and stuff out of the way. So let me do that now. All right, here's the first shelf. My thought is just put the pressure washer on the first shelf, then put another shelf for all of the cleaning supplies, and then up top I'll have the reel. All right, got my second shelf up, and surprisingly Amazon showed up with the reel. So I can do that. That wasn't due until tomorrow, so I can get that done tonight. And also the disconnects. So I'm going to put a quick disconnect here. That way, if I need to fill up a bucket, I can just quickly disconnect the hose, fill it, put it back on. And so for the winter months, that'll be good. In the summer, I've got my whole outdoor setup, so I won't need that. But if I ever need water, it'll be as easy as just using the quick disconnect. So let me keep going on this. All right, so just want to show you this as I'm removing the packaging. And they give us some fittings here and some hardware. And actually, now that I think of that, I don't think I'm going to have the right hardware to mount this, because I do want to use like short stubby lag bolts to lag it into the plywood there. I'll have to see. Maybe I've got something, but let's keep going. Okay, so it comes with this hose, which is good because this will go from the output of the pressure washer into the reel, and they give you an elbow fitting here. All right, I'm getting there. I get the reel up. Still have to hook my hose. I did put the quick disconnects there, here. This thing seems okay. You know, you can see if I do that, that's the worst thing, that vibration, but it's not moving on the base. The base is super secure. I did find nice heavy duty lag bolts. It's just this, it's the gauge steel and the construction of it is a little wobbly. It doesn't seem terrible, but could be better. Now I haven't really played around with this, how it retracts and stuff, but I'm not expecting an issue. But anyway, yeah, as far as that, I'm comparing it to, I've got an electrical reel here. And this one retracts the same way. Now this thing is super beefy. It's like a commercial unit, but you know, it's definitely more solid when I compare it to that. So you see I've got this connector hose from the pressure washer to the reel. That's connected. I do have my wand up here, the long one. That works out well if you're cleaning, like, you know, things on the ground, lawn furniture, things where you don't want to stoop. This setup's better for the car. And let's look. The other thing I added was a shutoff here. So my thought was I want to be able to disconnect this and fill up the bucket. And I also may need to swap out the guns. So rather than walk over and shut off over by the wall, I can just do it right here. So that was my thought there. You do see I fasten the electrical cord separate from the hose, and that's so that I can take the hose and fill the bucket. So again, things might move around a little bit, but I really need to use it, and we'll get some shots of this thing in action. Okay, so we're going to deviate for a second because I went to use this valve for the first time, and like I said, I haven't ever used it, and sure enough, it leaked. So now I'm getting a leak when I go to use it. So I'm going to try to replace some of the seals and whatever we need to, the washers, to get that to seal. The other thing is there's a cutoff behind this valve, and that also leaked because, again, that's been closed for 20 plus years. So when I opened it, that started leaking. Now, luckily with that, I was just able to tighten the packing nut, and that's now working without leaking. But I tried tightening the packing nut on this. It's not doing it, so we're going to take it apart real quick. Okay, these are a little funky spigots. These are not like most, and you'll see from what I can tell looking online, you'll see what it looks like in a second, but they're called hydrants. There's the packing nut, and this is a reverse thread, so to tighten it you go left. Alright, so we're going to remove this packing nut. Let me see if I can get a better wrench than this, because it is plastic and it flexes when I've only got 2 points of contact. Alright, let's try it with this. There it goes. Alright, so here's, I'm not sure if you can see, there's one rubber seal, and this should come out. Let's see what's going on here. There it is. And here's a couple more seals. Now, ooh, that looks bent. Oh, I see. Okay, so I should have replacements for these 2 seals and this seal, and there's a washer behind here that was ordered on Amazon. So let me go replace those and we'll try to put everything back together. Okay, so I've got new washers and rubber seals on here and here, and let's see if this is gonna work for me. Alright, the other end's connected, and you can hear that water flow and no leaks, which is good. So let's keep moving. Okay, so I want to give a quick demonstration of how I would use this. Some quick facts is that the garage right now is high 50s. This morning I woke up, it was 21 degrees. So it was like high teens earlier in the night. Yesterday it was low to mid-teens at night. You know, the days are getting into the 30s, but that really wouldn't be enough to thaw a hose that's stored outside. And that's what I did previously. Like, the pressure washer was out there ready to go. But a day like today, I wouldn't be able to use it. I would really need a day or two in the 40s before that water would be running. So this is the beauty of this setup, right? So now it's in the garage, I can use it anytime. So let me just show you what I would do if I wanted to rinse the car. So let me turn the water and power on and I'll be right back. All right, so I've got the water and the power on. So again, here's my cutoff. Right now I'm off, so there's no pressure coming into here. And I've got my power off. So I would want to put water in the bucket, and I would just simply do this. This is that quick connect. All right, so I got my bucket full. And now I want to pressurize the line, so I'm going to turn this on. I usually let this run till there's no more air. And I don't go too nuts on that, so it seems like it's flowing pretty well. Alright, so turn on the power. And if there was a lot of air in the line, it would continue to run. So, all right, so now I'm just gonna run the line out so I have enough to get around my car. That should do it. Now I'm getting my foam. All right, so let's just put a coating on here. Okay, so I want to switch to the long wand to rinse the car. So what I need to do is remove this, but before I do that, I'm going to shut off the water, get the pressure down. Then I can disconnect that, put my gun on, and put the water back on. Put the power back on. So you can see there's a little bit of back and forth, but that's what's great about having the water shut off here, because you do need to shut it off to switch guns and you know, fill up buckets and things like that. So it works out really well. Okay, just want to show you real quick. If I wanted to keep the heat in the garage while I'm doing this, I would just close the door. I could have closed it closer, but you get the drift, right? Just keep most of the door shut. And I'm just going to power wash and rinse this off. Okay, I've got the car rinsed off. I'm not going to clean it with the sponge. I just wanted to show you how that would work. But let's go put everything back. Okay, so we want to take the wand off, but we need to shut the water off. I'm going to shut the power off. I'm going to get the pressure out. And yeah, you don't want to wind this up with pressure in the hose. It just makes it that much tougher. Now, I just want to show you the hose. You can see it does kind of coil up a little bit. It's definitely not as soft as some of those nice premium hoses that you get on Amazon. And it might be worth replacing this hose at some point, but honestly, it works just fine. And the hose I had before was even worse than this. I shouldn't even say it that way. It was worse than this. This isn't terrible. It's just not premium. So I'm going to use this, but I did notice even with the swivel on the gun, you would think that it wouldn't coil like this. And the swivel works pretty well. When it's pressurized, not quite as well, but it does coil up, and a lot of times I have to pull it and just kind of uncoil it. But I am so used to that. I've been doing it for years. It's not a big deal. As far as pulling the hose out and reeling it back in, this thing has been fine. Like, I don't have any complaints. You saw me pull it out. I usually, you know, pull it out to a certain point, and then you can hear the clicks. Those clicks, right? Once you don't hear a click, like right then, if I try to release this, it's not gonna retain, it's gonna pull. But when you hear the clicks and you release it, that's where it stops. So when you get to a point that you want to stop, you're just listening for the clicks. And then during the clicks, you can stop and you know, it'll hold it there. When you want it to roll in, you want to go to a point where it's not clicking. There, it's not clicking. I'm gonna go like this, and you don't even have to guide this. I've done it both ways. But it pulls right in. It has enough spring to do it. It really seems like it works fine. I feel like I have about the same pressure as I always did. I don't think there's anything being lost there. Yeah, I mean, it's a great useful setup for winter rinsing and needing to have water available when it's really cold out. So anyway, I'm happy with this setup. Hopefully you've learned a few things about this piece here and maybe gave you some ideas on what you could do at your own home. So good luck.